A quiet question keeps coming back, especially if you're in your 40s or 50s. Is this really it? It isn't failure, it's a signal that something about the way work and life are structured no longer fits the person you are now. And that matters because your 50s can work in your favour, not despite your age, but because of it. By this stage of life, you've already carry perspective, experience, and freedom that younger decades simply don't have. For many of us, this is the moment when the old definitions of success stop working and something quieter but more powerful begins to take shape. You probably recognise this already. You can see patterns that others often miss. You're clear about what energizes you and what drains you. And you make decisions differently now with fewer experiments and more intention. Sometimes just noticing these advantages changes everything. Because once you see them, you start to realise this phase of life isn't a slowdown at all. It's leverage. A lot of us go into our 50s thinking things should be slowing down because that's what we've been brought up to believe. Doors are closing, energy's fading, opportunities, they belong to the young. But that story misses the point. In reality, sometimes it's the boundaries that help you see the best path forward. When your time and energy aren't endless, patterns start to emerge more clearly. Which work projects consistently add value and which drain your energy without reward. Which professional relationships lift you up and which weigh you down. Even if most of your hours are spent at work, or if your days are defined by volunteering, hobbies, or personal projects, your insight into life's patterns is power. That understanding, knowing what actually moves the needle in your life, it's leverage. And it's available now. Not in your 20s or your 30s, but here in your 50s. The first advantage is perspective. By now, you've lived long enough to notice these repeating cycles. This isn't a theory, it's just something you start to notice after enough experience, how to recognize these patterns for yourself. You can see patterns and processes that younger decades often miss, the way things unfold that aren't obvious at first glance. At work, maybe you notice which projects consistently create impact and which processes or meetings just consume energy. I've sat in plenty of those meetings myself, following along but wondering, why does this feel so unproductive? You don't need to experiment blindly anymore. You already know what works. That insight lets you make strategic choices. You can step back, see the bigger picture, and act intentionally without overthinking every move. It can be helpful to simply notice where your experience gives you clarity, which processes, tasks, or relationships you understand deeply, and where you might want to apply that next. For example, you might realise a recurring meeting adds little value and decide to delegate or restructure it, freeing time for work that truly matters. The second advantage is freedom. By your 50s, you can finally ignore what doesn't serve you. Peer pressure, timelines, and other people's expectations, they lose their grip on you. That freedom lets you decide what success means for you, not the version someone else expects, and not the ladder you were taught to climb. Maybe success now is saying no to projects that drain your energy or choosing to spend time on work that energizes and excites you. Maybe it's reclaiming evenings and weekends for hobbies, personal projects, or family priorities. It's designing your day around what feels meaningful rather than what looks impressive. Noticing where your energy goes at work or elsewhere can help you see where small adjustments make a difference, often in ways you wouldn't expect. Which routines feel misaligned now, which could be reshaped to support what matters most. Third advantage is experience. Every mistake, every win, every lesson, it's all currency now. Reinvention isn't starting over, it's redeploying what you've learnt already. Skills, knowledge, problem solving, and emotional insight, they're all assets. For example, maybe you've learned how to handle complex workplace challenges, like a tight deadline scramble, or an unexpected client issue, or a sudden team conflict. Knowing how to navigate difficult conversations and how to manage teams, projects, or even family dynamics effectively, they're all tools you can now use intentionally. You don't need to test everything from scratch. You can take calculated risks. You can choose wisely. Sometimes it's enough to notice what your experience allows you to do and to quietly explore where experimenting could open new paths. The fourth advantage is impact. With perspective, freedom, and experience, You can focus on what truly matters. At work, that might mean mentoring someone, leading initiatives that align with your values, or guiding others to avoid mistakes you've already navigated. Outside of work, it could mean volunteering, supporting family, or investing time in relationships and communities that energize you. Because you've recalibrated, your influence is intentional, it's precise, it's aligned. Think of your life like a strategic map. Some paths you know well, some need recalibration, and new opportunities are still waiting to be explored. Paths on this map, they can loop, intersect, or be retraced. Your choices aren't linear, and new routes are always possible. You get to choose which paths to take, which shortcuts to try, and where to focus your energy. Simply noticing the options before you and where your attention naturally goes, this can help you navigate intentionally and deploy your experience strategically and make moves that create meaningful impact without trying to control everything at once. That is a strategic advantage. So, yes, your 50s are a strategic advantage. Perspective, freedom, experience, impact, all aligned in your favour. Because this isn't about slowing down, it's about stepping up into your most empowered decade with a clear plan, thoughtful choices, and room to adjust as you go. And if you felt restless, uncertain, or quietly ready for change, you're exactly where you're meant to be. Your 50s, they aren't a pause, they're your strategic map, full of choices that only you can navigate. And the best paths, they're yours to chart. See you in the next one.